So I just want to go over a few things. I'm working on this G56 Mercedes transmission out of my Dodge. Had a few bearings and a little bit of gear wear. I'll just show you guys what I was going through. First I'll start with the throwout bearing. One of these clips had broken off that hold the throwout bearing onto the fork, and you could see it wore into the side here, and I think that's what broke it. Right here it's about to wear through on this one also, and then this has a little bit of a growl to it, so I got all new parts for that. This is third and fourth gear on the counter shaft. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a little bit of wear right there on the teeth and right here also. So I pressed this off the counter shaft. A lot of people say you need a 150 ton press. I did this on a 75 ton at work, and I saw roughly 25 tons pressing them off. Pushing them on took a little bit more. Just under 40 tons, but I went up to 50 tons to make sure it was fully seated. You do have to remove 5th and 6th gear to get to this 3rd and 4th. This is one of the needle bearings. You can see this cage is discolored. This is the way it should look. So I ended up replacing that. This was for the reverse gear. And then there's also a metal sleeve that goes over the shaft that this bearing also wraps. This is the input shaft. This is the seal that was right here. I wanted to show what else was wrong with this. This is the first input shaft, and they have no race that's pressed into the end here. It's just they machine the shaft for the bearing. This is the seal that was right on here to keep oil on that input shaft bearing. You have another bearing here, but this one, you can see there's all this metal on the back side. This was all caked up in there, so there's definitely some wear there. But I replaced this input shaft. I have the new, even though I have an older 5.9 truck, this is the newer 28 tooth input shaft. So the newer ones have 3 rings here, the older ones are 27 teeth with 2 rings. And then the only difference between the older one and the newer one is the input shaft and 5th and 6th gear cluster. This is 3rd and 4th, but 5th and 6th are like this but bigger. And it's just a different overdrive ratio. So I just wanted to make a video showing some of this stuff because there isn't a whole lot of information out there on these. I'm kind of winging the preload on the shafts. I called into a few dealers to see if they had a spec for it, and I was coming up dry. I did call one trans shop. They were going to get back to me. I guess they only have one guy that builds these G56s. Don't mind the mess, but I didn't have the right. This takes a T60 Torx to get these guys out of there. So they were seized in there pretty good actually, and I ended up just grinding 2 flats on it and putting a wrench on it, and that's what got that out. Not the ideal way to do it, kind of a hack job, but sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. I need this truck up and going, and this will just get RTV'd and torqued all back together, and hopefully I'm good to go. So hopefully this helps somebody out. Don't mind the mess. I'm checking how much I need to shim the main shaft. So I have the main shaft in there. I took the race where the shim goes on in the housing here. I took the old race, ran it in the bench grinder, clearance the outside so it would just slip in. I slipped it in the housing with no shims behind it, bolted the two halves together of the case, and now I just put this piece of flat stock across the bell housing with the dial indicator, and I'll set this up at 0, and now I'm just picking up on the shaft, getting 54 thousandths consistently. And there's not much information on if you should have free play or preload. I've seen a few people suggest preload. 2 to 3 thousandths on the main shaft, and then 1 to 2 on the counter shaft. So the counter shaft's a little hard to get. I'll do another video of that. I want to double check that. So once I get my shim thickness, then I can put the new race in and check it again. For the counter shaft, I did the same thing. I clearanced the old race, and then I have the dial indicator set up in there. Kind of hard to see. I don't have the right base for it. I'd like to be on top of this gear here to see it through the PTO cover. So no shims in there. I got the indicator. The mag base is on the I don't know what you call it. It's the bracket that holds the end of the shift rails. And then I'm touching the one tooth, so I got it all the way down, and then I pry on both sides through the PTO cover. I raise the gear, and I did that a few times. Cases are bolted together, and I just check that a few times and see if I'm coming up the same measurement. So I'm looking at 28 thousandths to have 0 end play. Then I'm going to add, I think I got shims all set up for 30 thousandths. And then I'll push the new race in. And hopefully this thing will last. You can actually look at it through the shifter cover. I don't know why I wasn't thinking of that before, trying to look at it through the PTO. But this is with the shim pack and the new race. There's some preload on it. It's got a little slight resistance. That's just the needle and the dial indicator rubbing the gear. That noise.